Welcome back.
All right.
And welcome back to Kobe.
Yeah, welcome back, Kobe. This is Trina and Emily and Kobe.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, then it's another
furry friend.
Family pup.
Yeah, it's my baby. My sweet boy. All right, today we're going to answer some questions from the audience.
Yes.
Take 2. We recorded this and then it failed. And now we're recording again, but this time we're going to answer 2 different questions. Mm-hmm. And maybe we will answer the other 2 questions in the future, or maybe we won't. But the thing about those other 2 questions are that they came from family members.
Yeah.
So it does not necessary that we answer them again, but maybe we will in the future. All right. But these actually came from you guys.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in asking questions, then make sure to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask on Instagram, Mind Your Heart Pod. If you follow us even on TikTok or YouTube, you can ask questions there. Also, if you want like a more in-depth question answered and have some like coaching around that, we have a link in the description that you can click and fill out a form just with the information about your question. We'll answer that too.
Yeah. All right. So we hope that you will send us questions. All right. So today, one of the questions is, and this is, I'm thinking more towards you, you said?
I think so.
So how did you, we've talked about the body image. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know if that was in our question video where we kind of did a little bit of discussion around that. So, oh well. We'll just jump in anyway.
It might have been.
I feel like it might have been too. So we've had some questions.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, we've had some questions and some feedback on the body image episode we did, which is episode 8? No? Episode, I don't know.
I don't know. Episode titled something about shattering.
Yeah.
Body image.
So we had some good feedback. We had people that were talking about how it really resonated with them. People that said things about how the clothes how
we're not meant to fit into clothes. Clothes are meant to fit us.
Yeah. And that was really powerful for them. They're going through menopause or postmenopausal, and they're like not happy with what their body's doing. Your body does some weird things in different hormonal states, as we've discussed. And then I also talked about how I was so fascinated, I guess, or surprised, shocked, mortified by my thought of thinking that, once we got to a certain age, like our body wasn't doing what it intended, is what I said. And I am like, that's not how I feel. So I just thought it was interesting to have some of those deep rooted biases come up, because I don't feel that way. I definitely feel like a woman has a choice to do whatever she wants to do, and whether she has a family or not, I have no judgment whatsoever. I know it was really important for me. I know it's not for everyone, and I don't think that means that someone's not relevant. I think everyone is relevant, and that isn't what our design. But I think that comes back from like primal times when that was kind of.
That was the thought.
That was the thought. So it was just an interesting aha moment for me. Anyway, so we wanted to answer one of those questions that somebody asked. They asked a further question, which was, how did you overcome body dysmorphia?
So I feel like this is a very layered question, because I don't necessarily feel like I would consider myself just overcome. But I don't feel like I'm just like totally past that. I think that what I would say is that I've learned how to not pay attention to it as much and not give it as much like value as I did before, because I still like look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, like I feel one way or another about myself. That's just, that's pretty human, but also like as somebody who has experienced those things, like it's normal. But instead of feeling that way and then dwelling on it and then not eating and like making choices that aren't good for me. Like instead I'm like, okay, I feel this way and like that's normal, but that doesn't mean I'm unworthy. It doesn't mean that I'm not beautiful. It doesn't mean that I'm not loved. Like it doesn't have anything to do with like my value. And then like once I like kind of start like thought stopping that and then like flipping it to like what I am, it's more like, okay, like, well, that thought about if my body is this way or another, like it doesn't matter. Like it's not relevant.
Doesn't define you.
Yeah. So I would say like it's not necessarily like that I've overcome body dysmorphia. It's just that I've been able to learn how to healthily cope with it versus the unhealthy coping mechanisms that I was doing beforehand.
Okay. And and I say this is directed towards you, and I don't know why I would say that, because I definitely feel like this is something that I have experienced myself.
Yeah.
Where like I'll look at myself and feel shame or judgment towards myself with my body as it's changed through life.
Yeah.
Like through pregnancy, post pregnancy, through menopause, through life. And have reacted in ways of like not eating or excessive exercise or taken like weight loss aids or something like that. So I can't really say that is like a normal or typical or like response. Like I don't think that's necessarily the answer. Not at all the answer. And then even at times when I looked ill to other people, I thought I looked great. So I don't think that's healthy. So I know, I guess that's one of the reasons why I have to kind of attach a weight to it, because I don't know if just by looking or how I feel in my clothes, if I'm on the right track. So I don't think I have to hold myself to, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm working towards like accepting myself and loving myself no matter what. And that I don't want to be defined by weight or how I feel that I look. But it's definitely a growing, like it's a growing, or it's a thing to work through.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a journey. And I also feel like with any like type of like mental health or like mindset work or like just work that you do on yourself, like it's not just like it started down and then started raising up and then you're just good to go. Like I feel like it's just always gonna kind of ebb and flow, and like you'll figure things out in different parts of life. Because like when I was really in the peak of body dysmorphia, I didn't know that I was in it. And I also think like when you're able to recognize that that's something that you do, like that you have, is like seeing your body in a way that it's not like actually, then recognizing that that's the case and being able to pause and kind of notice other things and like recognize other things and give yourself affirmation that you are good the way you are. It is more of like it's a step in the direction of being able to see a little more clearly.
Yeah. I also think I mentioned on the on an episode, I don't know if that episode will have come out. Actually, I think it's next week, comes out next week. That I was watching this crazy show, Naked Attraction, which we explain more next week, so we won't explain it. But basically, the people are naked, like completely naked. And one of the things that I find like helpful about this show is that it makes me less critical of myself, because when I'm seeing these strangers, I don't feel judgment. I'm not like, oh, her thighs or her stomach or her boobs aren't symmetrical, any of that.
Yeah.
I don't feel any of that. I'm like, wow, this brave person is putting herself out there. And Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't feel, I think that's interesting. And like, they all are beautiful in just different ways.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is just the body, and I just don't feel critical of it. But I like looking at myself in the mirror, like naked. I like feel critical. Like I notice every little thing. And then I've also realized through the years that like when I was in high school, the thing that I was the most conscious about, or self-conscious about, was like my legs, like my thighs. And then when I get older and see pictures of myself, I'm like, what are you talking about? And so it's so interesting how our mind plays, like, it feels like tricks on you.
Yeah. And this one person that I follow who like does like poems, like she writes poems and then like speaks them on Instagram. She was like, I can't, in one of the poems, something that she said was like, I can't remember the last time that like I attached a memory to like how somebody else looked. Like, like I didn't go to the beach and then say like, and then think back on that memory at the beach and think, oh, that woman with the bikini like had a big butt or this and that. I remembered the water on my skin and the sun in my eyes and like playing with my friends, like, and so it's like if like it's just proving like how unimportant it is that we like look a certain way, because also like other people aren't remembering how like you look in their memories as like a pivotal part, and and you're also not really remembering that. You're remembering how you feel and like what you did. So it's just like to not give it as much power.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Not giving it as much power. You created these new daily affirmations for me. By this point, when this comes out, I'll have been doing them regularly. Currently, I can't say that, but
well, I like just sent them to you like yesterday.
You just sent them to me, but I was reading over them actually today, and I was thinking like these are so helpful. Like these are going to be so like loving yourself. Like I am perfectly or imperfect or something.
Yeah,
There's one about being
imperfect.
Yeah, I'm perfectly imperfect.
And I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay with that. Like I like that.
Yeah.
And like some of the other affirmations that I've done that have not been body specific have been like I was told that I was cold and dead inside. And to repeat that in a positive, like I am warm and alive inside and out. And that someone has said that my brain doesn't work. And it's like, my brain works. Or I'm not able to remember things. I'm able to remember things with time. Like I have those all memorized because I've said them so many times.
Yeah.
And every time I start to slip into, I don't have a good memory, I immediately am like, I remember things with time. And even though I did excessively get excited for myself with my memory during our game of the Gilmore Girls, which,
I was impressed because I wouldn't have remembered that stuff myself, especially
Cletus the horse.
Cletus the horse.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I probably would have just said horse, and then you would have said Cletus, and I'd been like,
Cletus.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. So, but anyway, like the instant I said that, like I was like, nope, I remember things with time, and it just changes the way that you think about yourself when you're practicing like things like daily affirmations every day. And so I think the practice that we have done in the past was to say all the negative things about yourself, to list the things out, other things that people have said to you or that you have believed about yourself. I'm not worthy, like things like that. Excuse me. And then rewriting them in a positive way. I am worthy. I am light. I am, I am perfectly and wonderfully made. Writing it in a positive and then repeating it in the morning and at night every single day for even past like a week. If so, because you want to do it at least 7 times, but more than that is even better.
Yeah.
And it does change something. It switches something in your brain.
Yeah.
Especially and it took me more than a week especially the one where I'm warm and alive inside and out, because I have heard the cold and dead inside. Like like I've heard it too many times, so it's hurtful.
Yeah.
It's like it's hurtful, but then saying that that's the one that I get to, because you're saying it to yourself in the mirror. That's the one I get to, and I'm like, I'm warm and alive, inside and out, like haha, to the mirror, and then my brain works. Like that is another one that I'm like, don't tell me my brain doesn't work. My brain works, and so it just, I don't know. I just think it shifts something.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I do, like with my coaching clients, is like we work on like affirmations, because it's so much more impactful than like we think it is, because like I think it's a commonly talked about thing. We're like, oh yeah, I gotta do my affirmations, blah blah blah. But, and even when I was in counseling, like with an actual counselor, she like wanted me to do like mirror work and stuff, and I was like, like I didn't want to do it.
It's kind of silly, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's so much deeper.
Yeah.
And also I think the thing that I missed with her and doing that was acknowledging how I felt already.
Yeah.
Was like, what are the negatives? Let's turn them around. So
I think that's a big part of it. I think that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just said something and I wanted to say something to it and I just lost it. But I'll remember it with time.
Okay.
These new affirmations. Oh, that's what it was. These new affirmations are very helpful, and I'm excited to do them. And then the other thing is that you think you kind of, maybe you judge yourself like myself, where you're like, oh, this is kind of woo woo or out there or whatever. But I was like, so it's a daily practice for me, not just doing the ones in the mirror, but I also have the I Am app. And so it sets a goal for you. Like you have to do 20 a day, which I think is a lot. Yeah.
Oh, mine doesn't do that.
Okay. Mine's been doing that. And so, but it's fine. I do it every day because I want the little, the little positive reinforcement. So but I sit with like, I have this planner that I use as like a journal. And I write down the ones that really resonate with me. So I record the ones that resonate with me. And then I choose one of the ones that I recorded and put it in a line a day journal. Yeah, that my friend gave me for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you write one line every day for like the whole year. And it's like a 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like, it's got like 5 different, so it's like 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll have all these lines to myself of the day of like a positive affirmation. So so I was doing it the other day and Jackson came down and he's like, what are you doing? Cause I'm like, it's part of my morning. Like I just had my coffee/tea and I'm sitting on the couch with the TV off, like writing.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm like, I don't want to tell him, he's going to think it's dumb. He's a 20-year-old man. And he's like, I'm like, I'm doing my affirmations. And he's like, oh, he's like, what's that? And I'm like positive things to say about myself. That's cool. Yeah. And then he just walks upstairs and I was like, all right.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So I thought that was, Yeah. All right. Let's answer another question.
Okay.
All right. So, this is a hard one too. How have you let go of your trauma, and have you fully let go, or is it a process in motion?
I feel, I don't know. This one feels layered to me too, because I think that there are things where I feel like healed, but I also think that there are things that, and so I guess like, okay, so when I say like I feel healed from certain things, what I mean with that is that like I feel content and neutral like in my day-to-day. Like it's not something that actively is affecting me every single day. But I think, at least for me, what I think with healing, there are going to be times where like those things come up and like they still may be upsetting, but they don't totally like wreck your whole day or week or
they don't
whatever.
derail you completely.
Yeah. So that's how I view like healing. And I feel like I do feel very like content with like where I'm at with things. Like, and like specifically like with the relationship with my dad, like we have a no contact relationship, and like that's something that I don't think that I'll ever be like a woohoo, like I'm so glad about that. But I also know that I'm doing like what's healthiest for me. I know I'm doing what's safest for me. Like I have like forgiven him for the things that like he has done that have hurt me. And I also have like talked through them with professionals, and like I've done like work on them. So like in my day to day, I'm not like upset and struggling, but I do think like on Father's Day, like that's not an easy day for me. Like that feels a little difficult.
Yeah.
Or like when I watch a movie and like there's like the father daughter dance in a wedding, like I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like I'm not like distraught and torn apart and can't function for the rest of the day, but it's definitely difficult. So I feel like, can let me see this question again. um so how have I let go of my trauma? I would say
Does it say how?
yeah, how have you let go of your trauma? Have you fully let go, or is a process in motion? I think the how would be just like a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of work, and I also think and if, for my case specifically, with it being more about like a person, I like forgiveness was like a huge part of it, because like if you're holding on to an experience that is connected to such a negative emotion, like you're never going to be able to move on. You're never going to be able to heal what's broken in you, because holding on to anger or resentment or sadness of someone else does not affect them as much as it affects you.
Yeah.
And sometimes doesn't even affect them at all. So I think that that was like my biggest how, but that took a lot of steps. That took years and years of counseling. It took medication to stabilize like where I was with my depression. It took me having a crazy experience in breath work when I was in Bali. Like I don't feel like this is just like a I've been like this for so long. Like this feels like a newer mindset for
It's a
me.
process in motion.
Yeah. So
The
I think it always
person
is.
that asked this question, they kind of answered it for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's always a process. Like it's just I feel like with anything, like it's something that will ebb and flow, and like you just get to a point where you feel like you're content with how it's doing that, and you feel safe with yourself when it doesn't feel as easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have a support system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and you have resources and tools.
tools. I feel the same way. I feel similar. I I don't think you totally like put it down.
Yeah. I mean, because
I
it's
think
trauma.
I think it comes back around. Things can trigger it that you don't even realize that that's where the root is. I mean, I've been to counseling for years and years and years, and I mean, she like let me go, like not fired me, but like like you graduated. But there were still tools that I need to look back on every so often. So that's where mindset coaches have been so helpful. But and also daily affirmations and journaling and chakra work and yoga and working out and all the things. That's how for me. And the support system and the medication and
it's a combination.
It's a combination of all those things and time.
Yeah.
Like time. And forgiveness is for sure. Like I definitely feel
that was the hardest one for me.
Yeah. That was hard. It was hard. With my dad, it took him dying before I was like, I'm ready to let go of this and I'm ready
Yeah.
to forgive you. And offering the forgiveness at first for him, and then realizing that it was not necessarily a gift for him, it was a gift for myself.
Yeah.
It felt like a weight, like that I'd been carrying around for 40 years
Yeah.
was like lifted off of my back. And it was yeah, it felt so good. And then with your dad, I it was just not doing me any good to be angry, to stay angry and stay bitter and resentful. So I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have forgiven him. I want him to be happy. And I genuinely am like, I do feel that way. It definitely still comes up every so often for me. Like he just recently got engaged, and for some reason that like brought stuff up, because it's like when something is like contradictory to what you thought, sometimes it's hard to let go of that. Like the ideal, even with you saying that about the father-daughter dance, like the idea of,
Yeah.
it's the idea of that, and then it's like letting go of that idea, and then kind of being reminded by people like you, because I have said like my life didn't turn out the way I thought it would, and you're like, well, your life it turned out great, and you have a lot of what you want, and like reframing it and looking at like that takes like help though sometimes,
Yeah.
and patience. I mean, I've definitely lost people along the way with my like, because sometimes my depression looks like anger, so sometimes along the way the anger or frustration or like depths of whatever is can be a lot.
And also, like, relationships of any kind come with different seasons sometimes. Like, sometimes it just was what you were supposed to have for that period of time and then not.
Yeah, that's true. And that's hard. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
I think that's hard. But I definitely think it's always kind of in the process.
Yeah.
You're in the process of, and I do think it gets easier, but I think it gets easier because of all the things I just said, all the things I was listed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember that, like, when you're at the point where you feel quote unquote healed, whatever that looks like for you, the triggers are still going to be there. Like, they'll still come up, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, that is your brain and your body trying to protect you from hurt that has happened in the past. Like, that's like trauma that we endure is something that is a full experience for your body. So like when it comes with a trigger is like a, hey, like, you need to go survive, like, we're trying to protect you. Like, your body all the time is sole responsibility is to keep you alive. So like when it feels like it's in danger, it's trying to get you out of that. So when you have a trigger that comes up, it's just your body being like, hey, we're kind of checking in, like, we're a little bit nervous. And then you get to be like, okay, well, I have learned how to communicate with myself to be like, okay, this is a trigger. I understand that I could be upset. I think I'm going to take some breaths and keep going. So I think it's important to not like get almost like set back, like when you do get triggered, when you feel like you've gotten past that or whatever. Like, your body is just always trying to protect you, and like sometimes it doesn't feel like that because it acts in a way that we don't want it to, but
The response feels exaggerated.
Yeah.
But that's when you need to stop and think, there's something that must be more to this.
Yeah, like, why am I actually triggered?
Yeah.
Like, what am I actually feeling? Like, and that's something that Jake and I, like, we talk about that often. Like, when things happen where we get into an argument, and I'm upset, he's like, what are you, like, feeling? Like, why are you upset? And most of the time it's not because, like, he didn't cook dinner. Like, it's because I feel like I didn't feel heard, or like I didn't feel taken care of, or whatever it is. So, yeah, just like noticing those things and like giving yourself more grace
Yeah,
also comes with time.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we answered some more questions.
Yeah.
And if you have more, let us know.
Yeah. Click the link in the description or keep an eye out on our Instagram stories. And yeah, other than that,
See you
did
next.
we did our highs and lows, right? Did we?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I kind of feel like we didn't. So, did we do them? Can you please let us know?
That's all right.
All right.
We'll skip it for this week.
Okay.
See you next week.
Bye.